channel just for you. And I'm Sonewen fella. I want to encourage you to invite your friends, loved ones, family members, even your enemies to watch this beautiful story that is being told. But if you have not watched part one, I want you to go back, because that's the only way you will know how the story is connected to each other. So go back to part one, watch it, and then you can come to part two, and then from there onwards. But as I mentioned in part one, this individual was thrown in this stream of water, and this young lady or young lady came by early that morning and saw this object floating. She fought every way she could to rescue this object. After rescuing him, she took him to his aunt, because they all knew who this individual was, because his mom always sat him by the roadside and asked people to do whatever they felt like doing to him. But he was cared for, and when the news got out to his great-grandmother, who lived in Sonewen County, Liberia, she came into Monrovia, the capital city of Liberia, and picked him up and took him with her to Sonewen to live. But she was so kind to him. She was so affectionate. She was so tender-hearted. She did all she could to just make him feel at peace and at ease. And she supported him with whatever little she had. And I believe he enjoyed living with her, because she was an old lady and her name was Mary Lou Washington. But after a while living there, his aunt, who lived in another city or another county called Grand Bassa County, decided to fly into Sonewen County and pick him up from the old lady, because she was getting older and getting a bit weaker. So she took him to Buchanan, where she nurtured him and took good care of him. As he grew, he began to go to the St. Joseph Catholic School. But then his oldest auntie heard about his situation, her husband being a minister of the gospel and was the director of an institution called the Elizabeth Native Interior Mission in Sonewen County. So she came into Buchanan and picked him up and took him with her to Sonewen, where he lived on the mission and went to school. But life was still not the way he expected it. Things were difficult. There were days that he didn't know where to turn because of the situation that engulfed him. But he lived with his aunt and uncle and her children for many years, until he was 15 years old, when he thought it was time to look for his mom, who he didn't know whether she was alive or dead. And he asked his parents, who were the caretaker, the one who raised him, his aunt and uncle, and they eventually accepted and agreed that it was okay to go and seek his mom. So he left one morning on a transport vehicle for Nima County, Yekepa, to be exact. When he arrived, he didn't know where to turn. He didn't know who to ask. He was a young 15-year-old child. And eventually he was able to locate his grandmother, who lived in a place called Camp 4. His mom was now living with a husband called in Yekepa, in Lamco. He was a supervisor working on the mine where they dug iron ore. And he thought it was the happiest time of his life, this young man. That he was going to see his mom and she was going to be excited to see him. But the story didn't go that way. Even when his grandma saw him, she was shocked and wondering, who was this young man? Where is he from? And it seemed she felt that he was lying. And this was not her daughter's child. But eventually, she decided to contact this young man's mom. The mom invited him to her home, but when he arrived, she didn't look happy. She looked down and depressed. She was disoriented. She looked at him like, who is this person? And immediately she put him to work to scrub pots and pans. I don't know. You can just imagine a child that has sought and wanted to see her mom for 15 years. And when she did see him, she didn't show any kind of excitement or love or care, but rather to tell him, go behind the house and give him some scrubbers, and brought all the dirty and black old pots and said, scrub them. But being a humbled and obedient child, he decided to do that. And he began to scrub and scrubbed and scrubbed, and there were people passing by, and it just reminded him of the story when he was on Lee Street and people were hitting him in the head and doing stuff to him that was inappropriate. Now he was behind a house, 15 years old, with the very same mother, but was treating him this way, became a pot scrubber, cleaning all of the pans and whatever she could find, she gave it to him. And after that, she brought over the dirty clothing and said he should wash them. And he began to wash, and you can imagine what was going through his mind. Maybe he felt where he was better off than being where he is now. And that was the story. That's how it continued. There were times he didn't even have food to eat. He had to go and pick grains and just boil it that way with mango, green mango, and with salt, and eat, living with his own biological mother. I don't know what you guys think. I know some of you maybe might have gone through such situation or even worse. But that was the story, and that is the story. And he lived with his mom and stepfather for a while. But it was difficult. And if you want to listen to most of this story, I want you to still tune into part 3. But I'm glad that you joined me today, and I want you to subscribe, like, hit that bell, and you will be able to listen to all of the story that is being told. It's very interesting, and I don't want you to miss any of it. I love you, and continue to watch. Bye for now. Oh, what's going on?
Please don't tell me that it didn't record.
But why the thing went off? Why would it do that?
Because I could tell you got comfortable.
Yes, you're definitely right.
You turned into a preacher, Isaac.
Yeah, it seemed like for true.
Oh, no, it's still recorded. So